And because, you know, if you are my children or our children, you've just had a sleepover. And I want too much sugar. Oh, some parents, honestly. No. I want to find out if it's safe to let you back there or not. So, way. What did you learn? So, you know, when we're Aussies, we're not into this big grandstanding. That's the first time. I mean, Zoran said it in the Zoran understated way, but that's quite a historic moment, actually. So I've taken photos. You've given us a panorama. I took panoramas of the whole room. Yeah. That's what we're talking about. So traditionally, training programs are, you know, entrepreneurial. So somebody will set one up, and they're in a city, and that's where they are. So there's never been an opportunity to have two groups together. It's not like they haven't been. I mean, there's a training program in Perth. There's a segment at the moment, but obviously we're not going to get you together with them because, yeah, it's a long way to take your sleeping bag. So it's interesting. What was it like to commingle with? One of the guys was saying on last week. I said, if you talked with the new, he said, how's the new group going? I think he might have actually said. And I said, they're great. And he said, I tried to talk to them on the law. Some of them were sitting on the law. I tried to talk to them. They weren't sufficiently differential, so I left. He's a joker. That was a total joke. Yeah. He's a Melbourneite. You know who it is. You're Melbourne. Sorry? He was teasing because, no, he was totally joking. I shouldn't have said that. Yeah, he was, because, you know, what's more experienced in the method? You know, I keep telling you, there's so many traps in this method, or not traps, but opportunities to regain your humility. It's hard to feel expert in this, which in a way is one of the kind of underlying things around the competency stuff, because it's so easy to take that beginner's mind and never feel that you have anything tangible. So what was it like meeting people who are, what are they, 2 years ahead? So they'd be at the beginning of like third year, something like that. I should know, I taught them in July last year, I can't remember. What was it like? Kids? Yeah, teaching. Oh, sorry, coming.
Yeah, two of the people we spoke to were doing ATMs.
Yep.
You know, as part of their living.
Teaching. Yep.
Yep, teaching. And one of the guy said that he spends between 1 hour and 6 hours preparing them. Whew. So he does a lot of preparation.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. I'm just wondering how much I confess here.
20 minutes?
How much do I tell them? Look, you know, it does get easier. Well, exactly. No, exactly. I mean, I graduated in 1991, for heaven's sakes. You know, like it doesn't take me 6 hours. Yeah.
One of the people in the bow.
The bows. One of the flora, we'll call them bow flora.
She was reporting on doing the ATMs, and she said that she followed the script that was of that particular lesson that we did.
Yeah.
And it just took it out of the book. Then it was okay, and people thought it was good because it was his words, but it didn't become great until she had rewritten it from her own
experience.
Thank you. That's the word.
Sorry to interrupt.
That's all
It's
right.
awful when people finish
I know.
sentences, isn't it?
People
Sorry.
have to do that all the time for me.
Is that, you must frustrate you.
Not really.
Okay.
Sometimes they find better words.
Oh, you're so flexible in your thinking. That's really good. Yeah, who was I saying that to? Sometime this morning or yesterday. You can read it. You can read it out, and the stuff still works. I mean, these lessons are marvelous, and they work. The icing on the cake stuff for the experience for the people on the floor is when you somehow meet them, and that meeting comes out of this. I have not used the word authentic for a week and a half because it's become a bit bastardized in my world. But I read another definition of it the other day. It made me fall slightly back in love with the word too. You teach from this place of authenticity where people get, even though they don't necessarily know it, they get the sense that you really know this lesson because you've experienced it. Like you're teaching from that, and that's what authentic means. It's coming out of your something really real. Yeah. Teach from the heart, yeah, and the body and everything. You know, it's not just a head job, as it were. It's a cheap laugh, but it works every time. I used to say at university, I had a job where I was an associate head, and I used to say, you know, when I was in the associate head job, and of course they're academics and they don't laugh because they don't get it, that that's really funny. But maybe they're just more mature. I don't know. Anyway, all right. So clearly the parents are off the leash. What else? What other things did you hear or see?
Since I haven't had in my head,
Yeah.
in our little circle, a couple of interesting. Two of the people in our circle have children with special needs,
Yep.
and hearing about how Feldenkrais has helped both the children immensely and them was wonderful.
Yeah.
Really wonderful. And you know, and I've watched you know, YouTube clips of Feldenkrais working with children, and it's wonderful to watch as
Yeah.
well. But it was really lovely to hear their stories.
Yeah.
And then very differently, really, was the man in our group who talked about almost sort of the opposite experience in a way, which is, I think he's a personal trainer, and how through Feldenkrais he's kind of like moving away. Would that be right to say, Anna? Moving away from, or Nina, moving away from the person, bringing more Feldenkrais in, and then that's bringing, and then I was interested for him to then describe, oh, well, you can tell me what Feldenkrais is then, can't you? Because you must have to explain it to these people who come to you. And in fact, the way he explained, you know, they experience working with him, they start doing some, you know, personal trainer type stuff with him, and then he gets them onto the floor and does some other stuff with them, and it's when they do that they go, oh, this is great, can I have more of that? Anyway, that was very interesting.
Yeah.
Too.
So in fact, it's not a verbal conversation of conversion. It's actually an experiential taste. Yeah. And that kind of fits in with Larry's 3-minute miracles. Is you know, sometimes you go, look, it's really hard to explain. Here, feel this. You know, blah blah blah. Yeah. Good. Yeah, good. Yeah, we haven't actually done in here something where you all really share your motivations for being here, which we can do. As from what I remember, nobody is here because of having children with needs, but that's not uncommon. There's a couple of people in Perth, the current Perth training, who that was their original motivation, and it's the same story, is that they are dealing with themselves in that situation better, physically and emotionally and whatever, and the children are benefiting from it too. And some of you may decide that that's what you would like to pursue, is working with children. So when we start later down the track doing demonstration FIs and talking through the process and new practice bits, we'll make sure that we will do our best anyway to bring in children so that you can see what is similar and what is different about working with children. I didn't work with children until after I'd had children, funnily enough. And then it was only because it was kind of demand, really. Parents were hearing about Feldenkrais and wanting it. And I'd sort of say, oh, you know, it's a bit of that kind of self-talk. I don't work with children, I work with adults. And I thought, what's the difference? You know, they're just on a continuum of age and size and myelination, as it were. You just have to run faster. Yeah.
Be more interesting.
Yeah. Well, that's why you probably noticed you've been an administrator for Arlene. Arlene Zones works with children a lot too, so she often will do. And when she's teaching, she'll have children coming in for demos, and she always says, "I want ones that can't walk, because they can't run away from you. Otherwise, you do sort of chase them around the room a bit, going, oh, isn't this an interesting toy?" And then you pin them down. But you know, that's part of the strategy. That's the difference, is that they won't do what you tell them to, right? You know, and that's that's who someone wanted to. Richard.
I think I'm going to say something that kind of isn't as really sparkly happy.
No, don't be. It's always boring if you're always positive.
So
it's not like that.
More challenging experience in our group for me personally, and I won't speak for everyone who was in the group. I noticed a really problematic dynamic that almost happened straight away, which was we had that first question: how did you experience the ATM class? Yeah. And as soon as anyone of our group said anything about what their experience was, the third years were like, "I'm going to tell you what that meant," and I'm going and
it's the older brother. They're a pain in the ass.
It was
sometimes.
It was actually for me, like my reaction was I was upset by it. And it wasn't necessarily that they did it to me, but I was observing it, and it made me feel not wanting to enter into the conversation with the group because there was no questioning, there's no dialogue, and it was an assumed like power dynamic, which I hadn't entered into, I don't think. But within our group, we talked about it, and some people were okay with it. They thought it was a really interesting dynamic that's going on, and some could kind of see what was going on, but were cool. I was like, keep me out of that right away. Yeah. And then we had that question which was sensing, thinking, feeling, etc. And I said to the group, well, we've just been all in thinking. It's been think. I'm going to throw my think at you, you know? Yeah. And it made me feel terrible, you know? Yeah. And then we actually started, some of the people just got up and walked off, you know, they didn't want to be part, but they came back eventually. And another one or two kind of sat there, and we talked our way through it. We started questioning one another about stuff, and it got constructive, you know? Yeah. But so my lesson about that is, so personally, it kind of gives me an idea of, because I can see a reflection of myself in that behavior, to be coming from that place of questioning a lot more, and kind of not presuming to know. Yeah.
That's really, you know, I'm really glad that you brought it up, because, you know, I'm not having a go at people who said positive things, because, you know, we like things to be positive and happy. But I don't know how many times when we have our little staff meetings and stuff, and I go, we can't make this too cozy for people, you know. Like, this learning is not always cozy and comfortable and lovely and happy, and you know, maybe that's just my kind of, maybe I've had some kind of Calvinist upbringing or something, I don't know. But really, what really jolts you sometimes is something that's quite painful or unpleasant. Yeah, that's right. And it's you know, what we're here to do. And Feldenkrais was absolutely up for this. I mean, his word was perturbation. He wanted to perturb people. Yeah. You can, it's there, isn't it?
There's a flavour in it that it was quite confronting, and almost like, it is great, someone that points out your faults in a way. It's very constructive and gives you those harsh little things, and I think it's more valuable to be able to deal with those than being able to feel joyful in that, because that's quite
there's real easy. Life, you know. It's both of them. I'm interested that you heard that, because when I said that he's benign in that's what I really meant. You know, because we know his voice so well, we had to watch a lot of videos in my training, and I used to routinely go to sleep because, like Pavlov's dog, Feldenkrais voice. That edginess, even though that one's a benign one where he's not having a go actively at anybody, there is this kind of quality in his voice, which is interesting that you heard it. He's provocative.
Yeah, totally. And
Yeah.
that-
He's holding himself in a bit. Yeah. Yeah. But my mind hasn't told me to be polite, so I'm not going to say what I really think. Yeah.
Ticking of a clock.
In him.
Actually, audible.
Oh.
On that recording.
Was it?
And he kind of wondered whether that was him keeping track of himself
Oh.
from way off the class.
Well, how perceptive are you to hear the ticking of the clock? Yeah. So we all hear really different things. It's really interesting. Yeah, sorry, we kind of launched into the interactions with the group, but yeah, what's your interaction with his master's voice? It's interesting as well.
That was I think it was most I don't know what word to use. It catch my attention, the voice of Feldenkrais.
It did or it didn't?
It did.
Ah.
And I felt like a mix of like a lovely father.
Yeah.
But also very direct in the way to ask to do the things.
Yeah.
And also I noticed that we and ATM in the classes don't tell the people how to breathe, and that was a class breathing and getting direction about the breathing. And how he was talking and knowing that the people was without breathing, because he didn't say, okay, let the breath out. And it's very I don't know, working with the breath. It's like getting in the very intimate thing of the people.
It is.
And do this class and do because he wants to get free of our breathing, and when we are doing complicated things, keep breathing.
Yeah,
it's I found this class very master class.
It is a master class. Yeah, it's a beautifully taught lesson. It's a beautiful lesson. You'll see it in various forms, and often when we're teaching ATM with you guys, we like to just ask you to do, sometimes we just see you all holding your breath. And so just as a shorthand thing, we'll say, do a few seesaw breaths, just to remind your system. Now, when you've got your own class and they're trained up enough, as it were, you can do the same thing. But you can see that's a 45-minute lesson of just that. And we'll use it as a bit of a shorthand thing to jolt you out, just get your diaphragms free again when you're all getting bound up in, like you're all feeling quite bound up with this business. If I knew, now that I know that you'll know seesaw breathing, I will put that in a little bit as a bit of a sorbet, just to freshen you up and get you, a bit of a new thing, different taste.
The third years in our group, a couple of them mentioned that one of them says that she uses it personally.
Uses the seesaw breathing
to calm herself down in any kind of situation. She's quite often when she's standing or sitting. And another person said that he uses it in his ATMs and maybe in his FIs. I don't know. In his lessons quite a lot.
Yeah, it's such a basic. It's that simple and profound combo. It's in there. It's one of those lessons. It's great. And his voice, even though I make a joke like that I slept through all the Amherst videos in my training, at some point we most of us, fell in love with him. Not in a romantic way, because he's a little pudgy man with, he swears a lot. But I hear that voice now, and it has the quality of velvet for me. If we're going to get synesthetic about it, I just love that voice. It makes me laugh. Did you have something else?
Oh,
You don't have to love the voice, by the way. You don't have to fall in love with him. You can find him irritating as hell. It doesn't matter. It's fine.
no, this is just something maybe not so relatable, but there's I have this yoga, it's practice yoga nidra.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it for years and years and years with my dad, and like it's like this tape, and we always get people to do it after lunch, and it's just, you know, so much bodies, just 25 minutes and body scanning, and it's done so well. And it's like, it's an ever evolved, like if you could do a tape once, it's perfect. And it's really funny the reaction you get from this dude's voice, because he's like, quietly lie down comfortably.
Yeah.
Legs slightly apart and body in the total relaxation. Keep in your mind. You know, he goes on. And the Feldenkrais had this really similar quality, just what it sparked in me. So that initially, just from that past experience, got a lot of respect for that delivery as such.
Yeah, cool.
But,
cool.
Yeah,
cool.
no, and our people from the other class were legends. Hey, that was well, it was good. I just asked the question what they thought Feldenkrais was, and they were still skitzing out about it a bit. But yeah, they just came back around, said like sensation and, you know, treating yourself with care, which was really sensitive. One other girl related to her first experience, the first year here, and she said she was, you know, coming up with tears and stuff. It was really, you know, profound intimacy with herself, which was quite beautiful. And the other dude was just like, yeah, my initial intention was like really like for prime sports kind of directed, you know, for elite sports, yeah. And now that even that motivation's softened, and he's like on a rainbow surf or something, do some dance workshop and stuff. So it's like, yeah, that was pretty neat. And then other lady was just really like said she'd done it for 30 years and was like really, she's very, very humble, which is a good sign. As we know, like definitely what not to do is, or what not to be is so valuable to see, you know, so it's nice.
Yeah. And how quickly we can go into expertise mode, and when you start feeling that power thing, it's something that I have to be constantly aware of, because I go back into an environment where I'm paid to be authoritarian. You know, like if I'm not, people kind of think, you know, what's the title on your door? Haven't you looked at it lately? You're acting like, you know. So it's very interesting for me to be, you know, to continue to hold an awareness about where the power is sitting and how much I'm investing in ego/expertise stuff. And it's usually when someone is more expert than me that I suddenly Helen, would you like to be more expert than me?
Well,
feel free.
Well, it's a personal experience.
Yes.
It's not necessarily
Sure.
directly related to downstairs, but I did relate it. I do the breathing movement. I do them at home. I've got some audio, and and in fact I stop it and do my own thing. But I find it for physical tension and, you know, more than that, discomfort, pain, I find it actually very significantly beneficial, more than any other ATM.
Yeah. Yep. It's, what you say is really, really important. And when I reflect on my practice, what am I most likely to do with somebody? Because I don't teach ATM, because I travel so much. I don't have ATM classes. I only offer FI. And pretty much, I wouldn't say always, but mostly the first lesson that people get is usually about breathing, because it's the thing that is most commonly needed. It's the most common gap in people's repertoire. And you think that's bizarre, because, you know, it's the first thing we do when we're born. We breathe as soon as we popped out. And maybe because of that, there is so much attached to it. There's so many tags and, you know, I can't think of the word now because I've gone inward and my language has disappeared. anyway, it's complicated. Let's just leave it at that. Yeah.
Yeah, I still don't understand it. You know, it's not, regardless of the words, which might be very poetic, which give you the internal frame of reference and are part of its brilliance. And but I mean, really, it's just moving the diaphragm a bit.
That's one of the things.
I mean, but it's your attention with it. And you are actually.
Yeah.
It's your imagination with it.
Yeah.
Just your imagination. Just believe it.
There's a lot of sensing in there, isn't there? Though, you know, it's pretty. When you can hear, and you know, sensing. You can when you start hearing your liquid in your guts moving. It's really sensorial. The flip flop. Right. Was that the flip? Is that you mean the flip flop of the? Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right. So there was a lot happening. Now you can. This is a little bit presumptuous of me, really, but I was thinking. You know, in future segments when we do overlap, so this January segment will overlap with the bowels down there. And I thought it'd be really interesting, you know, when they've just finished a whole lot of practicums where they're practicing teaching awareness through movement lessons to general public. They start off, you know, you will start off, you know, just practicing with each other. And I shouldn't say just, because that will feel a little stressful, possibly, or not. And then gradually starting to teach the general public, because obviously they're naive, right? It'll become easy to teach each other because you kind of know how to listen and you know roughly the moves and whatnot. And I did actually, very presumptuously, they were getting a bit desperate for the ATM prac last week, and I said, we've got 25 bodies up here. Why don't you grab some of them? As if you're my bodies. But anyway, they didn't need you. What we were thinking this time next year, when they are doing more FI practicums, could we ask you to, be students? Yeah. Because we figured you'll be in between. You're informed, and your ability to give feedback will be, you know, the public will just be very honest, like, I didn't like it, or that hurt, or, you know, but it won't be a refined feedback. You will have something in between. And they won't get so nervous with you, maybe, especially if they're doing the power trip thing, because they'll think oops. Anyway, so that's just something to contemplate for next year. That would be really good while we've got this opportunity. Because interestingly, our colleague Larry, who does his trainings mostly in Amsterdam, I jumped on his website on the weekend, and that was part of his advertising. First time in the world that, you know, the first year students working with the final year students in their practicums and stuff like that. And it was like his selling point. Wow. He's American.
Is his the Mind in Motion?
Yeah, that's Larry. Mind in Motion. Yeah, Larry Goldfarb. All right. Well, thanks for doing that. That was really good. So that's our benign way of bringing his master's voice into the room. And so, we used exactly that lesson in the Feldy Fundamentals. So we knew it would be quite familiar to some people, and the ATM itself is relatively commonly taught, so it's likely to be familiar. So it's a gentle entree into you establishing a relationship with Moshe. And tomorrow, maybe Thursday, but tomorrow, otherwise Jenny will just think I'm as flaky as hell, we'll have a little talk from Moshe. Again, so that you know, his accent's pretty benign in that ATM. When he gets excited, his accent gets quite strong, quite marked. And so you hear what you hear. Russian. He is more fluent. He was more fluent in French than English. So English wasn't his second language. It was and then of course Hebrew, and his German, and what was his sixth language? Polish. Yeah. So he had, he's one of those Eastern European. I know. Yeah, they're just amazing. Like Egon. Did you ever meet Egon? Yeah, extraordinary. This is a mutual friend of Loretta's and mine back home, whose husband was like that. It's not dissimilar background to Feldenkrais, vaguely Eastern European, and just, as a matter of survival, taught himself languages just by listening to radio broadcasts and stuff, and had about 6 that he was fluent in, and extraordinary stuff, and survived. Yep, during the war and concentration camps, and language was a survival thing. Having multiple languages, and it's a. Could you imagine your language being a survival tool? No. Anyway, I'm digressing. Surprise. Lani Matt. Yeah, and sorry about the ATM being after lunch. Actually, I'm not really sorry. I have faith in your resilience. And if people felt like they didn't have a chance to have a week